Hey Jeep, so I am at SLRC Street Legal Rock Crawling at Rock Run, Pennsylvania, and this is the first competitor for the SLRC amateur class. So I'm going to explain what's going on here. So basically you have these gates, you can see the orange gates here, you have to go through the gates. You start with the green ones and you're trying to go around this chorus, and you basically get positive credit for going through the gates, so it's a good thing to go through those gates. Like, that's kind of like the goal. And I think it's like the wheel rule, and ouch, that hurt, yeah. And then essentially they have some yellow gates that you'll sometimes see. The yellow gates are bonus gates. Those are like worth more. So like you can either go through the yellow ones or the orange ones. It's the driver's choice. But it's advantageous point-wise to go through the yellow ones instead of the orange ones. And then anytime you put the Jeep in reverse, you basically lose points. And you can see there you hit a cone, or it looks like you hit a cone because the cone's not there anymore. Anytime you hit a cone, like that's negative. So basically, like, if you can go through all the cones without having to ever go in reverse, without having to winch, without having to use a little strap thing, and without hitting any cones, you get basically like a perfect score. And you have 15 minutes to do it, so it's a set amount of time. So I guess if like two people have the same score, then I guess they would look at the time. But typically what ends up happening is it's who kind of has like the best score. And I believe the score is upside down, kind of like golf, like the lower score wins on the higher score. And then if you do too many bad things, you can basically use up all your points and just like point out. Or you can just run out of time. So you can run out of time and it ends after 15 minutes, or you can point out. So like using the winch is 20 of your points. So if you use a winch twice, then you're done. Like that's the end of the run, because you consumed all the points. So that's a basic approach. And there's a spotter and a driver, but in this video, the spotter isn't doing a whole lot of spotting. You'll see in other videos, like basically the driver will not do anything unless the spotter tells them to. But this is, like I said, this is amateur SLRC Street Legal Rock Crawling. And you can't really see all the cones, but there's a spotter there on the left. And she is standing in the orange gate, which is the regular gate. And down there, that hole that he's about to go through is where the bonus gate is. So you can see the yellow cone. So he has a choice right now of basically, does he want to go between where the orange gate is and the yellow, which would be the yellow, or the orange and the orange, which is the orange gate, and he is choosing the difficult line. The essence of SLRC is basically it allows street legal Jeeps, that is amateur Jeeps, to come out here and play in the rocks in a competitive fashion, with the general idea that they should not be doing major damage to their Jeeps. And I know, like, these are humongous rocks, like, compared to like what a lot of people take their Jeeps on. And obviously this is not meant for stock Jeeps, it's meant for street legal Jeeps, which means that typically people have slightly bigger tires, they typically have lift kits put on their Jeeps, but they are still street legal. They have not done modifications to the point to their vehicle that it is no longer street legal. And this is what he's currently on is a yellow bonus obstacle. You can see on the right of that orange cone. That is obviously significantly easier. So at that point there was a little tiny bit of damage, like when you pass that rock you can see that the bumper license plate carrier, the little piece of plastic that holds the license plate in place, got bent just a hair, but he got past that obstacle essentially without significantly damaging his Jeep. Now this is where he gets into a lot of trouble basically. So if you watch his wheels at this point, the front wheels, in particular that front left one, you're going to notice that it stops moving. Like that's essentially a pretty big problem. So essentially at this point he knows that he is stuck because he cannot get out of this spot. So essentially what he's going to have to call for is a winch. Because, you know, he's stuck. That's the only way to get out. And you're going to see here in a second or two with a winch. He hands her the strap so she can do the tree saver. But the bigger problem is a winch line was hanging below the bumper, and now he has it pinned against the rock. And so basically they can't get the winch line out because the way the winch was attached to the bumper, they can't get it out. So this is basically the end of this this run, so to speak. Just not to kind of spoil it too much, but you saw the whole thing. Like he's basically stuck. So optimally, he would have made it through that obstacle, and then come up between these two orange cones that you see in front of me. That's the next gate of progression. So then he could have, you know, continued gaining points basically. So in a second or two, you're going to see this spotter actually get in the Jeep in the driver's seat, which is not typically allowed at all, like to have the spotter drive. And not only that, but the spotter doesn't have the seatbelt on. But they're just trying to see if he basically broke his axle. So, like I said, this is amateur. It's not professional. Like in the professional classes, like that probably would have disqualified him right there. But you know, we're trying to give like the benefit of the doubt, and then to really like kind of make it even worse, a seatbelt is required. And on TJs, when a TJ is at an angle like that, the seatbelt will not come down. So now he's basically disqualified because he can't put the seatbelt back on, as silly as that sounds. So a little tip for everybody, if you're in a TJ and you're driving and you're in a competition, like don't get out because you won't be able to put the seatbelt back on unless you clip it or something. But I think everybody kind of knew at this point that his run was done. But I mean, it looked really good like initially. And unfortunately, this is how, like, the end result of his run.